Niyamo 2008 we started with the almost minimal investment from a group of people we ourselves. It was not a big money. Okay. Today we are not externally funded company. 8 years in the business, we have zero external investment, we have zero debt, we have cash plus, and we are running very, very profitable as an organization. And this is the best thing to do if you can. Okay? Because then your value which you are going to create in the organization multiplies at much higher rate than giving up some equity to somebody in the very, very early stage of your life. But if you cannot do, then definitely, like now, there are many more sources available for funding, but there are disadvantage of that is that you will give up your ownership early stage kind of thing. So it depends on balance whether you want to go on a safer mode or whether you want to go on something by which risk-free. If thing fails, then somebody else's money is gone. I am safe, my learning has happened, what to do and what not to do, and I start something next, So it is about your own approach and thought process, but my recommendations, which I always use, is to start slow, have foundation clear, make sure that you start generating money from the year one and you grow on that basis. So I will address about it. My main topic today, which we are going to discuss, is on HR, and I would like to focus on that. But in any case, if any one of you have any other questions on related to your business, because I have done that and been there, I will be able to definitely provide you a better guidance or the approach, what possibly my views are there on a specific question. Okay. So if you look at it today, this particular data is about India. So we have more than 3,000 plus startups today in India, which possibly are funded startups. And this number is growing at a very aggressive pace. And we believe that by 2020, this might go to 12,000 startups. If you really look at it, number of startups, and we have a couple of sites from which the data can be extracted very easily. Today in India, registered startups are possibly crossing 10,000. Okay, but I'm saying this is in each and every area. You think of an idea, already you will find 4 or 5 startups are already being there. So does your idea makes the best startup? It is not. It is the implementation of that idea is what makes you more successful. I'll give one simple example about this. I don't know how many of you are aware. A few years back, there used to be this restaurant site called Burp. Have you anybody seen that site, Burp? Okay, and they were the leader that time. Huh? And Zomato came afterward, and now you don't see the Burp at all. It is gone somewhere, off from the radar. So what has happened here is the same idea, but somebody has executed it in a more effective and efficient manner. And to do that effective implementation is what you require, a team. Okay, you alone as a owner or a promoter cannot do that. Okay, and that's where the whole topic about HR comes into the place. Because as soon as you are going to have a team, as soon as you are going to form a team, you need to aware about how to deal with the team management, how to deal with the people management, or the issue starts in the beginning and then the problem you will face during your early stages, mid stage, late stage, and organization starts failing. If you really look at it, what is the difference between one organization to another? Technology, definitely, it creates some differentiation, but possibly somebody can quickly develop that application in next 3 months. Today's world is not difficult. If somebody comes with a fantastic application, in India we have so many of IT talent available, anybody can replicate that application within no time. So technology doesn't make you a really competitive edge unless you are having an IP IP patented kind of a technology in a place. If you are a very, your startup is in, let's say, IoT, and you got a patent around it, and then nobody can copy that easily, then it makes sense. But if it is not, then if you are just saying that I am going to create a Pune Sabzi market, anybody can create that, correct? So it's a question of how that market now you execute, you deliver the service, and to do all that thing, what you are going to need a set of people, set of processes which are aligned with your dream, and then they deliver that. Early stages, everybody struggles with the money, and everybody has this challenge. So how do you handle all those things with the minimal amount of investment and minimum amount of things? So in Yamo, what we did, as Ram Fesi, 5 of us, we joined together. I always believe that one person creating a startup is a bad idea, okay? Because when we formed a company, we did a roadshow about our business plan in USA for almost 10 big PE funds. And when we did that roadshow, we did not actually wanted to have the investment, but we wanted to do the roadshow because we wanted to get a validation of our business plan from the experts in the market. And they will do the real validation if you really go in the serious manner with them. So what we did, we created a full business plan, we created a full drawn everything, and we started presenting to investors one by one. And what we used to do, one investor will start poking the holes that this is not correct, this will not work, and so we used to take that, implement it to next level of business plan. And what we did at this manner, that we built it up our business plan as a foolproof business plan at the end of the 10th round. Okay, so we use the knowledge which was there with this PE and venture funds, and imbibe that, all the risk, all the things inside the plan to make sure that it works correctly. So which is very, very important. So when you have created any idea or thing, very clearly, structurally, you please go ahead and create a business plan very, very clearly. Yeah, please. 2 months, just 2 months. Because of the possibly experiment, but our business plan itself was around 40 to 50 pages of business plan, covering every possible aspect of business. Competition, risk, market size, you name it, we had done a research and we put that business plan in a place, including the 10 years complete revenue plan and progressions and growth and profitability, everything. So you need to definitely get a guidance on how to create a good business plan. And I'm telling you, whether it's a bank, whether it's an investor, whether it is anything, unless you have a strong business plan, nobody will put the money. Okay? Business plan has to have almost every possible business details related to what are your IP ideas, what market you are going to address, what is the size of the market, who are the competition, what are the risks, what is the strengths, how you are going to differentiate, which team is going to work with you. So the purpose of telling me this particular aspect was almost every funding company which we talked during that duration has specifically had a major stress on who is the core team. Okay? So if I would have gone alone and said that I am starting this company and I am looking for funding, they would have thrown me out of the door within no time. No? Because unless you have the core team, okay, nobody primarily gets interested in putting money into any idea. And why they need a team is very, very important. You need to understand. And the HR starts over there. How do you select your first core team? Who all should be together to work on your business is something which plays an important role. And one of the things which I was actually, very senior person from Dubai yesterday called me. He's starting a new company. He is CFO of possibly global 500 company, and he wanted my advice. I told him very clearly is that before you even start a company, and he has some of his other CFOs as colleagues. So I said first create a document of understanding between all the core team members, or what you call partners or founders, and create this as a code of conduct document and get signed from everybody. Okay? Because when the organization start to fail, one of the major reasons which is found out is the differences between the core or founder team. Okay? So if you have associated with the team and you have gathered a team which is possibly having conflicting nature in terms of the opinions and approach to a certain extent, there should be conflicting nature, but if it is crossing the boundary, then it can cause a failure for our organization. And how do you avoid that risk? Is to make sure that pre-discussed and pre-document all possible problems which will come into the business, and in every possible case of problem, how to deal with that in that code of conduct document and get everybody's signed, because please understand that is a legally possible document which you can register. Even before you starting, you can create a partner's code of conduct who are going to be the founders, and that can be registered as a document. So you have a advantage of that tomorrow, and anything. For example, I'll just say after 2 years, one of your partner who holds possibly 30% of your shares decides that I'm now more interested. Correct? I want to exit. How you are going to deal with it? If you are not thought through, if you are not defined in your plan, then you have trouble at that particular point to deal with it. So all those. So when you are starting your first thing, your first HR related issue starts with your own core team itself. Okay? And main thing which we understand is that when you don't get funding during the initial period, the core team has to have very strong understanding, and you need to very clearly define how and what will happen with the core team in that particular phase. Okay? For example, in our case, we had decided for first almost 12 months, none of us, we said that till the time we hit this kind of profitability, we will not have the salaries. We came from the job, correct? We had a good salary, and then we decided that none of us will get a salary till we cross this particular point in our journey. So it was, and it required for us, luckily it required only 12 months, but there are cases which goes to 12 to 24 months to 36 months, and it really brings the stress in the system. Okay? So then you start looking at the situations which are more troublesome. So my first recommendation is to see handle at the partner. But once the formation happens, once you have group, you have idea clearation, once you have business plans ready, then I would suggest that typically any startup goes through what we call is possibly 4 phases. One is bootstrap, where possibly second stage where you got some kind of angel investment, venture capital, and then it's on the growth stage company, So the need for HR in every stage are different. Okay? Whether it is related to people, policy, technology, various things, it keeps on varying. You cannot say that, okay, I'm going to have best HR practices, which is followed by Procter & Gamble in my startup from the day one. It cannot happen. So it is something which you need to understand, okay, I'm having just 5-member team member, what HR practices I need to follow, what all the basic things I should be covered. If I have 25 people, what I should do. Because please understand, as we progress, and I will share with you, at a different size, different complexities comes into the place. So if you are just a small company, there are less number of complications. If you become bigger, the complications, the compliances, legal problems, everything keeps on increasing as your size keeps on increasing. Okay? So this is where possibly what you call is HR maturities, and the need for having appropriate HR in the organization as a startup organization is very, very essential. Initially, one of your core team member can act as a HR person. Doesn't matter. Means he possibly somebody is going to handle the people management function. Maybe it is just a 6-member team or 2-member team. It doesn't matter. But somebody has to take that as a role. Okay, and that role at a particular stage he can give it up and bring in the professional help at a particular appropriate time when you are growing to a particular size. Here on the people aspect, I have created 3 points here. One is hiring, second is compensation, and retention and development. If you really look at it in startup, the most important challenge is talent attraction. Okay, If you are funded, you have lots of money, then you can splurge that money and hire possibly from IIMs or IITs and give whatever salary they want. But if you are not, okay, then attracting a good talent in your organization becomes a very, very big challenge, because you don't have brand. There are people who may not take a risk and join and you may not be able to afford to give them the best and top of the class salaries. So there are various challenges which exist. So first of all, hiring becomes a challenge. And so initially, typically, what happens when you are requires a quick hiring? Typically, you should do it from your known circle, okay? So that people whom you are hiring are known to you, they know you, they can trust you, and then it creates a foundation-based team for you. They may not be the best in academics or best in anything, but at least what you gain in there is a huge amount of loyalty, okay? And they will have trust. And that initial team member to have trust into the company is extremely important, okay? Because if they don't have trust, what you're going to have? You have a problem of attrition. Somebody will join and they will say, oh, 6 months, this company, I've been working like a donkey, because in normal company, people work for 8 to 10 hours. In startup, they may have to work for 12 to 15 hours, and still I'm not getting good salary, I'm not getting so there may be a retention problem and people may just quit, So it is always recommended that when you are starting a company, initial team, take from your known circle, your friends, if you are from college and if you are youngsters, see whether any of your college people can join you who are friends and who have like-minded ideas kind of thing, or somebody from your relations, or somebody from your past experience group. So something like that if you do, then initial team related challenges reduces, at least retention related. So informal pay, typically in this particular phase, you are not creating any strong procedure about compliance, but you're saying, oh, what do you want? I'll give you this much pay and do. Because in this particular time, you don't have too much of a compliance burden. You can deal with it. You can pay a check of 15,000 to a person as his salary, But once you cross a particular size, then you get into that trouble. If you cross 20, then you definitely comes under PF Act. Then you have to deduct PF. Then if you are crossing their salaries, the income tax and other things start. But initially, you can have quick discussions, deal with it. Or you can say, right now, I'm going to give you this salary. If company succeeds like this, then I'm going to increase you salary to this. So you can pay as per the growth plan for the organization and various other parameters. So as far as possible, try and retain everybody in the initial core team. Over the period, you may find they may not be the possibly best, but still retain them because they have worked with you when you were in the need, correct? So the loyalty factor which they brought in makes a huge, huge difference. Luckily today, possibly when we started, we had, as I said, 5 of us, we started this company and we took 5 people on the day 1 from the campuses, and almost out of 5, today 4 people are still with us. So this is in 2009. Today our company size is around 1,500 people and growing. Okay, we are in 6 countries right now. Our operational presence is in 6 countries. We have 4 development centers in India. Here in Blue Ridge in Pune, we have headquarters in Chennai, we have Madurai and Gurgaon, 4 centers in India. We have center in Philippines, we have center in Mexico, and this is the year when we are expanding our country in 20 more countries outside India, But as I said, when we started that time, out of 10 people, 9 people today are still there with us. So which makes a lot of difference, Okay. So when you go to the next stage kind of thing, survival, you need, because now business has started picking up and you need to still need to bring in more people to do operational execution. We need quick hiring, economic hiring. Typically what you do is that if you go down to, actually I was checking yesterday, if you go down to the C or D class cities, nowadays their colleges are all over places. I can tell you one thing, talent is available everywhere, okay? if you try to hire a talent only from Bangalore and Bombay and Pune kind of thing, it is very costly. But if you are an entrepreneur, you have to think differently. I would suggest go to a place little bit remote where nobody goes for a campus interviews, and you will be possibly get the best person at a very, very economical rate, means the salaries. So you can go to a remote place like Kolhapur, or possibly, I don't know, there is one of our client is a startup company, and they hire most of the people from Jabalpur. Can you imagine? And Jabalpur as a city is a great city, has a good institution, but no job. The people who do graduation from there, they have no job opportunities. Okay? So if you find place like that, then you are able to get people, then you can handle your next level of growth with a low cost option, but still you are getting a best people in that strata. So you are going to get A class people from that colleges, but you will get at the economic rate. Our Madurai center we started around 2 years back was on the same fundamentals. In Pune, whatever we pay, half of that salary we are able to pay in Madurai and attract top class talent. Here it's sometimes difficult. We have competitions from the companies like TCS, Wipro, Infosys. Everybody starts giving additional salaries and everything. But we created this center which is around 600 seats in Madurai. We are able to get top of the class prime, what you call prime cream people in Madurai at much lower cost. So possibly, yeah, with that also we are the possibly top player, paying company in the Madurai. So people want to come and work with us. So there is a difference. So your talent sequencing and from where to hire and how to hire is very, very important into the survival stage. From there, when you go to the sustenance stage, you have possibly gone to a stage where you have some amount of money, some amount of thing. Your things charged differently. You have to implement, because now if the team is bigger, then you will get into different problem that why you are paying him this much and why I am getting it. I am unhappy. I am quitting the company. So these comparisons, the human aspect about emotions, everything, will start emerging only when you start becoming a successful. When you are struggling, most of the time these problems are not there. But as soon as you become successful, as soon as you become big, people will start comparing with each other. They will say, oh, he worked less, but he got more salary, I worked hard. So all those things. So unless you have proper measurement system of performance, and you can justify that why this person has got this particular salary and not, is very, very difficult. So you need to have very performance-based pay. You need to have stability. You need to have more kind of you have to control your attrition so that your knowledge, your training doesn't go west, and you are saving on that cost of the HR. Because two biggest component of the cost in HR, they have the direct cost and indirect cost implication. One is recruitment, other is training. Okay, and both these things are attached to the attrition. So if one person leaves, you are spending time, effort, money in recruiting that person, but more than that, you are spending another 3 months to 6 months for training that person to come and do a job effectively. So these costs, you have to be very, very careful when you are, if you are able to create a lower attrition in your team, better it is. Then next one is HR policies and compliances. At inception phase, you don't need too many policies. Maybe 1 or 2 policies is sufficient. But as you progress, your number of policies in the HR department and the compliances related to that keeps on increasing. A matured organizations can cross anywhere between 100 to 150 HR policies per se. Okay? But in the beginning, you may just have leave policy, then possibly you add to that something, attendance policy. But as you start progressing more and more number of policies comes into the place. And as I said, at the top of the growth, you may require to cross more than 100 plus policies. Any mature organizations, if you look at it, they will have that many policies to monitor and act according to. Because as an organization, if you are going to treat people and you are going to compare people, you need to have documentation of that, how you're going to treat people. For example, your organization cross a particular size, and if you are hiring women workforce, then you have to have the sexual harassment policy in a place. As soon as sexual harassment policy comes into the place, it has its own compliances to be handled. So you need to have the hearing, you need to have the proper committee within the company, and please understand these things do happen at the workplace, and these are very, very serious. Yesterday I was telling that one of my friend's daughter, she got a job, she did MBA in HR and she got a job in Standard Chartered Bank in Chennai, and her job is to only do the hearing for the sexual harassment cases in the organization. And this was what? She must be sitting idle. Apparently, she is a very busy person. Number of cases which comes up in the organization like Standard Chartered Bank about the sexual harassments and the hearings and procedures and protocols and you need to do closing is phenomenal. And this happens almost at every organization within the large scale organization in India. So I am saying that unless you have proper policies, you may get a labor commissioner can come and they may do, and person who is heading the organization can go into jail. Okay? It is that risky. So when you are a promoter, if you are not aware about the compliances, the rules and laws of it, it can have the implications which are very, very high risk implications of that particular business. So make sure when you are in inception stage, I understand most of you are at the very, very early stage. There is not too much of worry. Do not bother about it. Compliances, then there is not going to be much of a liability around it. But as you go next, the first hit about your compliances, and this happens if your organization crosses 20 people. Okay? Even at the inception stage, there is only one act, one or two acts which are applicable to you. One is Child Labor Act. Okay, so you cannot recruit anybody below 18 years for the work, and Minimum Wages Act. Okay, so if they find it out that you are paying below minimum wages, you may come under risk. So besides that, there are not too much of acts which are applicable. But once you cross a team of 20, then you have a trouble. You have PF, you have ESI, you have professional tax, all these acts starts coming into the place, and the compliances to that are very, very complicated. What we recommend is that if you want to stay lean and mean even during that particular phase, better to take a external consultant who can help you to address with these issues and not to get yourself bogged down and still create a risk for you kind of a thing, And there are a lot of consultants available who can guide you or who can take a responsibility of making sure that your organization is compliant during that particular phase. See, there are a couple of things, and startups or early stage organizations can do this. So first of all, if you are below 20, you do not come under the ambit of these acts, neither ESI or PF or anything. But once you cross 20, then you come. But if you are a funded company and if you are a rich company, and if you are paying a good salaries to your employee, then also you can get exempt from PF and ESI. So there is some minimum limit now, 2.5 lakhs or something like that, or some minimum limit of PF is there. If you are giving salaries above that to your employees, then it's not necessary that you have to pay PF for your employees. You need to get some form signed from them before joining, but then you can escape PF. And if you are paying that salary, you can escape out of ESI also. Professional tax continues. That is from the day one. So from technology, when you have 2-3 people, you don't require any technology. Okay? Just have informal data about your people. But once you cross a particular stage, initially a simple spreadsheet for as your HRMS system will do. Okay, so you can talk to somebody who is in HR and say what all data I must have about my employees. Like date of birth, place of education, whatever essential data is required for any HR. You get that spreadsheet formed and keep a data in a spreadsheet. If you are 10 people, 12 people, 15 people, it is okay. But once you go to the next stage, maybe a 50 to 100, 200 kind of a size, then you definitely need a spreadsheet may not work out, and you may require a system. Okay. There are, like you, there are a lot of startups. There are a lot of good HRMS available on cloud, which are free up to particular employee size. So if you are within that employee size and still you want to use the HR system, you can use it. There is a Zoho has a very good software. Have you heard about this company called Zoho? How many of you have heard? Zoho. You've seen Zoho CRM and Zoho various things. So Zoho has a HRMS application also, so which you can use if you want at the early stages in your life cycle. Then once you cross that and you become a good profitable company, you need to better to have either your own platform or you outsource your HR to somebody to handle it and you don't get into the lockdown. So it depends. If you are having global aspiration, then the thing change. If you are only looking for India as a market, it is a different. So it's all different. Now, I'll just give one story about Zoho, because some of you people know about Zoho. Zoho is a Chennai-based company, but their market is primarily California. They're funded from California. What they did is they developed this, what they call cloud-based small apps. And they have apps, more than 25 to 30 apps which they have launched, which can be used by anybody. At initial stages, it becomes free. And once you cross a number, then they start getting a charge money on that. The strategy applied by this company, when they started this company, and how they became a successful is very, very interesting. Okay, and and this again has to do something with HR. You know, what they did is that they went to surroundings in the villages and found out which are the students from those villages have done a very good in the graduation in BSc prima facie that time. You know, okay, and what they said, they took such 10, 20, 30 people from those villages who have done academically very good in BSc, but they were poor, prima facie. They said that you come to Chennai, we are enrolling you in MCA program. We are also going to give you work for 6 hours every day. So you work in the company, you do your MCA, okay, and once your MCA is done, we will give you job also. Okay, and for these 6 hours you will work. We will make sure that your all education, stay, everything is paid by our company. Typically, if you look at any software development, 2 months is maximum time somebody can have a good logic, can learn the software. You don't require to be engineer to, I myself was a software programmer and 35 years I did a coding. You know? So, and my qualification is BSc as a base qualification. So it doesn't require that you need to be IT engineer. Sometimes being IT engineer actually hampers you to become a good software programmer. You know? So this company, with that approach, if you really started their company, please understand what is their cost. Cost of hiring talented people and retaining them for 4 to 5 years is almost nothing. Almost nothing. Okay? So, and today Zoho is one of the very, very successful company started as a startup, correct? So, I think in this particular phase of your entrepreneurship journey, you need to think differently. You need to apply those techniques, and you have to save every rupee what you can, and you have to get best talent and best retention for that matter. So today you have seen the size of the organization is massive. They have massive presence, huge number of customers, everything. But they started with this kind of fundamentals. You know? And I can tell you today also, this company has crossed 12, 13 years. It is extremely difficult to poach or recruit anybody from Zoho, because these people are having such a high amount of loyalty with that company, they don't want to change their jobs. So it's a technique, and if you really look at it, it's a HR technique. You know? How it's a different thinking and different approach to hire people and retain the people. So as I said again, you can use something like Zoho, and if you really become successful, You can use something which is global ERP by then, like something like Workday or SuccessFactors or Oracle Fusion, which are cloud-based platforms. In India, you see quite a lot of successful startups now, what we call Snapdeal or Flipkart or everybody. They use some of the leading platforms. Snapdeal uses SuccessFactors, which actually our company is doing deployment for them. Flipkart uses, again, Workday. So these people, but they have reached to their size. So at different size, you have different need, and you need to do a different approach for supporting those companies and your HR needs.